Before he was the Punisher, Frank Castle was a soldier. A man forged in the mud, blood, and silence of Vietnam. This is the story few know, the moment when war tore out his soul and planted the seeds of eternal vengeance. In 1971, at Valley Forge Base, hell wasn't a metaphor. It was real. Frank Castle was an infantry captain in the U.S. Marine Corps. He led exhausted, wounded, and terrified men, all on the brink of mental collapse. Valley Forge was an isolated outpost, surrounded by invisible enemies and erratic orders from high command. But Frank was different. While others feared the jungle's darkness, he seemed to feed off it. He patrolled ahead, never hesitated. His eyes showed no fear, only focus. The soldiers whispered, something was wrong with that man. It wasn't just bravery. It was a lack of humanity. And with every day of combat, another part of Frank disconnected from the real world. Private Stevie Goodwin, young and still clinging to scraps of morality, watched Castle with a mix of admiration and growing unease. Frank was a leader, yes, but not out of empathy. It was the sheer force of cold, ruthless example. At night, Stevie would hear Frank whispering into the jungle's darkness. Nonsensical words, conversations with an unseen presence. There was something. A voice, maybe madness, maybe something else. It made promises. Offered power, purpose, eternal war. The price? Only one condition, Frank had to accept. And then, the war would never end. Stevie began to understand. Castle didn't want to leave. He didn't see war as hell, but as the only place his soul made sense. For Frank, the jungle was home. And war was peace. Valley Forge Base was abandoned by command. Its defenses were crumbling. Ammunition, scarce. The soldiers, ready to desert. When the Viet Cong finally attacked, it was brutal. Gunfire tore through the night. Explosions devoured the jungle. Chaos reigned. But Frank Castle rose like a mythic beast amidst destruction. With just a knife, an M16, and unstoppable fury, he cut down enemy after enemy, hand to hand, without remorse. His screams echoed with grenade blasts. His eyes, empty. Stevie, hiding among the ruins, didn't see a victory, he saw a sacrifice. Frank wasn't defending the base. He was sealing a pact. And the jungle, in return, accepted him as its eternal son. When dawn broke, everyone was dead, except Castle. After the massacre, Frank was rescued, decorated, and sent back to the U.S. A hero. But he knew the truth, the man who boarded that helicopter was no longer Frank Castle. Something had been left behind, or something had entered. Back in society, he tried to build a normal life. He married Maria. Had children. Smiled at neighbors. But it was all a lie. In his heart, the war still pulsed. The jungle whispered in his dreams. And the promise made in that dark night still demanded payment. Civilian peace was only the silence before the next storm. Castle tried to be human, but something greater and darker was just waiting for the right trigger. And it came, on the worst day of his life. Central Park. A picnic with his wife and children. A real moment of peace, for one brief second. Then the gunshots. A mob hit. Stray bullets. Blood. Screams. Maria. The kids. All noise. All gone. Frank holding warm bodies. The pain, immeasurable. But inside, the jungle smiled. The voice returned. You accepted. Now it's time. And he understood. The pact made years ago was being collected. Frank Castle was buried with his family. In his place, the Punisher was born. A man who didn't seek justice. Only balance through blood. The skull wasn't a symbol. It was armor for a spirit beyond redemption. The Punisher didn't pursue crime. He hunted it. And he never looked back. And that's another page in the Heroic Chronicles. If you enjoyed this story, leave a like and subscribe for more untold tales from the world of comics. There's always another hero, another villain, and another turning point waiting in the shadows. See you in the next chapter.